Welcome back, everybody. It is March the 30th, 2020. We're in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic, and nothing relaxes one more in an epidemic than a new guitar. And I think we're pushing the envelope here. This is going to be more different. Kitty's got to inspect. Always got to inspect. This guitar will be more different than perhaps anything I've gotten thus far. This is, I'm going to move the invoice here. This is a Danelectro 12 SDC Black. This is a 12-string guitar from a company called Danelectro, and it should be different than anything I have yet purchased. Let's just look at the little side here and see if there's any interesting information. It's in its hermetically sealed box. The big question I have about this guitar is I read some online reviews. Some people said that it came set up fairly well. And one of the biggest considerations for some people was the angle of the neck was a bit askew and therefore required people to put a shim in the guitar, which I would think you should never have to do with a brand new guitar. And yes, the action does look extremely high. I'm curious about this guitar. It's made in Korea, I believe. That is some really high action. So I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue. I would think that you should not have to shim a neck on a brand new guitar. That would be my way of thinking. But it sure looks like a pretty guitar. I'm going to get my identification here just to make sure. It is made in Korea. First inspection. You know, people say these are extremely light. This feels like it's a nice even weight. Doesn't feel too light. That action does worry me. I mean, that's really, really high. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of movement. So I'm going to bring that issue up. But let's get this out of the way here. Looks like they give us a bunch of Danelectro poster. Kitty looks like she's in full glory. So we'll just put the lid on this and put it in for camera view so you can see it. It looks like a very pretty guitar. Give it the full look. I'll take this off the mobile so we can take a quick look. This is going to be a really quick, just an intro to the guitar, because I want to plug it in, tune it up, and see how it sounds. So we will be back. Alright, well, it's a few hours later, and I've played this guitar for a couple hours, and I have a few comments about it. The good, the bad, the ugly. Actually, most of it's good. There's really not much that's bad. There's very little, if anything, ugly about this guitar. It's actually an incredible value. I mean, you know, there's other electric 12 strings out there, but this is the lowest price one, I believe, and for your money you really get a lot. There are a couple issues with this guitar that I don't know if they can be solved or not. The intonation's a little wacky. It does have a nice bridge, but some of the saddles look like they're as far as they can go, and if they can't move anymore, then it's going to end up being a defective guitar, because if I can't intonate it, it has no value to me whatsoever. But I haven't looked into it yet, so I think the neck's a little too straight, so I need to take a little tension off the neck. Overall, I'm really impressed. The fit and the finish of this guitar, I mean, there's definitely a few Danelectro-isms. You can see the little, you can't really see it on the camera, but there's the seam for the binding tape, which back in the day was probably, you know, just a very, I mean, again, this was the inexpensive guitar. This is the guitar sold by Sears and Montgomery Ward. You know, cheap, cheap, cheap. But the Repro, as it is actually a nice quality guitar. I'm not really sure if the fingerboard is rosewood as advertised. Could be anything. Could be pasteboard for all I know. The body, again, supposedly it's the fiberboard body, the Danelectro hallmark of the Danelectro. Spine, neck feels good. Interesting thing about this guitar is that the thick strings are through the body and the lighter strings are backloaded. Again, the bridge is really an interesting combination. Overall, I'm really satisfied with it. The biggest disappointment is the action is really pretty bad, pretty dang high. A lot of people have reported that they have to put a shim in the neck, which you shouldn't have to do that. It says right here on the tag that it's every guitar is set up in the USA. Stellar tone, brilliant quality, awesome lipstick pickup tone. I think they got that right. But if this guitar was in fact set up in the US, I think the setup guy was snoozing. But be that as it may, you do get what you pay for. I think this guitar is much better quality than one would expect from a bottom of the line electric 12 string. It is nice and shiny. The neck feels really good. The string spacing is very comfortable. You do have to work a little harder on a 12 string. You have to be a little more awake. It's not for shredding, that's for sure. And you know, the action being so high up here, I think contributes to the chiminess down here. And if you spend most of your time below the 7th fret, it works really good. You know, you don't really have any issues down there. It's just if you're going to go up here, you're going to have to really use some finger muscle. So all in all, I'm quite impressed. I guess you'll tell in later videos if I do another new guitar day of this guitar, that means that I sent this one back and tried for another one if I can't correct the intonation and the action issues. I don't think I'm going to go as far as to put a shim in it. I'm going to try and lower the saddles. There's not much more they can go, so I'm not going to be able to improve the action a whole lot, but potentially I could improve it some. So anyways, there you go. New guitar day. March the 30th, 2020. In the early days of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's just say a prayer for all those people that are going to suffer and unfortunately are going to die. I hope I'm not one of them. But if I am, I'm glad I bought this in my final days to wail away and give me some 12-string chimes. So there you go. Thank you for joining us.